Thanks to those joining me live and to those that be joining me and the rest of the panel like magic, right? Like magic. Here we are, man. We got Reggie Owen. What's up, Reggie? You want some of this? Let's go. Okay. I like Benavidez, bro. I'm going to jab that eye, right? All right. And I got G-Funk, all right? And Stormy somewhere over here. Okay. Stormy B-Man in the house. We're going to start really quick. First of all, let me check if I'm live because I know YouTube's been playing this game where I go live, but I'm not really live. So are we live? Yeah, we are. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's start with Reggie Owens. What's going on, man? Tell everybody where they could find you and pass it on to the next guy. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, you guys can catch me at Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens here on YouTube. Instagram, I do clown stuff on Instagram, but I'm at Reggie76544 at Instagram. No real content on boxing, more social type stuff. Trying to be just posting funny stuff, but mainly here on Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. We'll pass it over to the OG. Go ahead, Stormy.
Yeah, what's good, everybody? This is Stormy B-Man. You can find me right here on YouTube on the Stormy B-Man channel. That's all I got going right now, but there's more than enough for the OG.
That's right. And this is G-Funk of G-Funky84 Boxing on here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, man. Let's do this thing. I'm ready for this one.
Oh, I'm ready for sure. We're going to start on a low note. Roberto El Fantasma Guerrero. Robert the Ghost Guerrero. It sounds better in Spanish, doesn't it? Okay. But he's back, G-Funk. He's back, right? Tell us, man, should this dude retire? Is this it?
I think this is the end of the line for Robert the Ghost Guerrero.
Hey, bro, he got a W, though.
Yeah, hey, he got the win. It wasn't the most pretty looking thing, considering the guy who he fought, where it said he only boxed for a hobby or something like that, So he's just a shell of his former self. I used to really like Guerrero when he was at the lightweights, and he moved up to 147 and decided to become El Chingon, and want to bang it out with everybody, and now he's just on the end of his career, man. And I think it's time for him to hang it up, though, man. He looked slow. He didn't look good to me in there. A guy who only boxes for a hobby, he should have been able to get this guy out of there. But, I think it's time, man.
I just want to address this really quick. 78 Sports TV, $5 super chat. It says, Reggie, get rid of that tiger in the wall. We are lying, sir. Reggie, do you have any explanation for yourself?
I gotta find a line that big, but you're absolutely right on that one. But I gotta find a lion picture that size. I got an elephant on the other side.
The dude got an elephant. All right. So I do agree, and thanks for that super chat 78. And I do agree, man. It's time for him to go, bro. I remember when he fought Molina, right? He had a slow reaction to everything. Like he is just everything. He made Molina look like the fastest dude I ever seen. All right. And no offense to Molina, he's okay, but he's not that fast. All right. Robert Guerrero was he was reacting to the punch by the time he got hit. It was insane. So I think Roberto Guerrero, it's a wrap for him, bro. Oh, okay. Stormy B, man, what do you think, man? Should he call it quits, or should we just let the guy fight? What do you think?
You know what? As long as if his mental and his physical shape is good and he continues to fight like that, but let not put it in television and things like that. If that's how he wants to continue to make paydays, let him. I don't see why not, but we know where he will not be. He won't be at the top of the sport anymore. But who am I to tell a guy, not how not to earn his living? But we don't want to see that on the cards of shows and everything that we like to spend our our cash on. But there's an audience out there for, let's just say, you know, faded guys, and they could support the, you know, support the living that these guys want to make for themselves. But he is far from the class that where he once was considered being a part at the top of the sport.
I agree with that, man. Reggie Owens, the Tiger.
At
the eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger. After hearing that, I got to second what Stormy B-Man said, because I would have said he should call it quits, but it is another market for cats that are kind of faded when it comes to him. And I think that's what kept Molina around so long. He may be, hell, throw him and Molina in the ring together. But I would have said no, but I didn't think about that. So I'll second that.
Well, I think we all agree. Time to wrap it up. Okay. He looks shot to me. He looks like a shot fighter. Right. And he is a ghost from Christmas past. Josesito Lopez versus John Molina. Reggie, back to you, man. I'm going to bounce it back to you. What do you think, man? What do you think of that fight?
Man, I think Josesito, regardless of what type of opposition he was in there with, Robert Garcia has tuned that right hand up. He looked good in that fight, and it's some impact, some power on it. He already had power on it from the way we seen Keith Thurman responding to it, but him and Garcia got back in the lab, and they fine-tuned a lot of things. So I think it's about time Josesito may get back in there with one of these young top-rated contenders in the division and move himself back up the ladder. But I like what I seen from him. I can't discount the opposition he was in there with. He was hitting Molina, dropping him in that first round, ultimately got him out of there. To me, right before they stopped it, it looked like that one punch may have broke his jaw. It did something to him from the way the mouth was hanging, but he got some punch on him, and they doing good stuff in the lab, and that's where you do it at.
Stormy B, man, how did you see that fight, man?
I second what Reggie said, because we actually had a conversation about it, and I saw, you know, these two guys, they actually did a lot of work together in the gym. So there was a competitive edge that was taking place that the audience may not have been privy to. And when you have guys like that who have done work in the gym with one another, when it's live and the lights are on, no one wants to be upstaged. That's why you saw Molina put in the type of effort he was trying to put in, because even though he knows that, you know, he's a little long in the tooth, he was trying. He was trying. But it's a credit to, as Reggie said, Roberto Garcia, how he's worked with him and improved him marketably within a few months, because the fight with Thurman was just a few months ago, and as we had our conversation talking about it, I think that the round that he had Thurman reeling and was trying to pursue him and he couldn't follow up, all it would have taken is maybe 1-2 more shots, and Thurman would have found himself on the canvas, and he couldn't close the gap or put himself in a position to deliver the specific shot that needed to be landed. And I think that Robert Garcia, got him back in the gym. They looked at that film and they said, you were just a punch away from getting this guy out of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to refine your technique. We know that, you know, you can throw that left hook. We know that your right hand is decent, but let's see if we can tighten some things up. And I'm telling you, the way he was executing his punches in there, it doesn't matter that it was Molina. Molina is a veteran, and he's one of those veterans that, he uses that old style posture where you kind of lean offline to the right. Lopez couldn't miss with that right, because usually when those guys with that defensive posture like that, the technique that is involved in that is to get you to throw the right hand so they can counter with the hook or their own, but it's to get you to shoot the right hand where either the right hand falls short of your chin or it goes over your shoulder. Molina couldn't get out of the way of it because his aim was so sharp and it had power on it. He found himself on the canvas. If you looked at it when he went down, he was surprised. Like, what was that? That was from their experiences in the past. And he realized all of a sudden, oh, this is not the same kid that I was working with in the gym. So he held on as long as he could. But I saw market improvement in Lopez. And I believe if he were to fight Keith Thurman now, he'd take him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. But G-Funk, really quick, how do you see the fight? And to piggyback off of that, does he beat Keith Thurman in a rematch with Robert Garcia in his corner?
Ooh, well, I'm going to go ahead and just jump on what these guys just said. I do think that Robert Garcia has done a rejuvenation with Josesito Lopez because that right hand was razor sharp last night, or Saturday night, I should say. And he couldn't miss, but again, it's Molina. But, but still, he almost got him out of there in the first round. I'm surprised he even survived that first round. And, to his credit, man, he's a tough son of a gun to stay in there for that many rounds after. And, I was kind of hoping that somebody would stop that fight before the last round because to me, he was done, man. And I know he kept saying in the corner, he's like, just give me one more round. But, I think if you really care about a fighter, man, you have to save him from himself sometimes because we know Molina is one of those guys. He's not going to quit, he's going to keep fighting till the death. But sometimes you just got to get in there and save a guy from himself. And, I'm glad that the referee decided to because I don't even think the corner got up to stop the fight. I think it was just the referee's decision on his own. And, good thing that he did, man, because, we've seen some tragedies happen this year with guys taking unnecessary punishment.
Sure.
But, to get back on Lopez, he definitely looks, like he's got a little second wind, I guess, in his career. And, he did his thing against Thurman, man. He had Thurman rocked pretty bad in that fight, like Stormy just said. And if he could beat him, I don't know, man. That's kind of tough. That's kind of hard for me to say. Do I think that it would be another good fight like the first one? Absolutely, I do. But hey, this is boxing, man, and anything could happen. So, props to him for going in there and taking care of business against Molina, who's a tough guy. And I thought it was a pretty entertaining fight at times, but it was a little one-sided also. So, credit to Josesito Lopez and Garcia, man. They look like a good combination.
Hey, you mind if I say something, D-Style?
No,
I like to explain myself on that. The reason I said that I feel that if he fought him in a rematch, he could beat him.
Okay.
Understand that he walked through what Thurman had to offer. Now, some people might say, well, Thurman wasn't all the way back. He had a long layoff, blase. But I'm going to tell you something. Fighters, real fighters, they have a window into who they are and when their mettle was tested. Remember, Thurman did drop him, okay? But he got back up and he realized that ain't so bad. Next thing you know, he had Thurman in trouble. And he had Thurman in trouble in a sense like it wasn't like a lucky punch or something, but he nailed him and he was in pursuit. And Thurman didn't man up against him. Thurman retreated from him, okay? And that tells you something about the character of the fighter. Lopez is a fighter, so he is willing to pit his wares. He will get in there, and he has a corner man that is shoring up what he has. And in just one camp, you could see the difference if your eye is trained to look at what you need to be looking at. This is why I made that assessment, because he could have just gone back out there as a guy on the undercard performing, but he went out there, he was well prepared, and from the bell, he looked like a different fighter. So I believe he wants to throw his hat into this arena of these welterweights that are beginning to mix it up now. Who knows what can happen? And if you have a guy that is a spirited fighter, which he definitely appears to be, he could be dangerous, especially if he's got a good corner man and he's in tune with the corner man and listening to his corner man. That makes all the difference in the world, especially in a sport in this modern era where you have so many guys, and I've talked about this, they're half-assing it in their careers. They're not buckling down, training hard. They look in the cut corners. They're more concerned about the Instagram honeys and all of that stuff and they skinny pants and all of this. When you got certain warriors out there that's willing to take it away from them, all they need is a chance.
Well, I'll tell you what, Garcia's also good at game planning. Okay, really good. I mean, this dude trained Maidana to give Mayweather a good fight. I mean, that's insane. All right, so good at game planning. Does Josesito Lopez beat Keith Thurman? I don't know, but I know it'll be a good fight, and I know they'll have a game plan. And I know more than likely Keith Thurman gets hurt again, and does he escape this time? I don't know. If I don't think they'll do that fight again. I don't think Keith Thurman he's like Apollo Creed after that first Balboa fight. Like, you ain't getting a rematch. You know what I mean? Like, all right, you ain't getting no rematch, and that's it. And he meant it. All right, but that's that with that, man. John Molina, in my opinion, should retire. Okay. And I know a lot of fight fans will say, oh, D-Style, let him do whatever he wants to do, D-Style. Okay, he's a fighter, his decision, this, that, and the third. No, because when fighters stick around too much and then something happens to them, it impacts the sport as a whole. Okay? So to me, it's time for John Molina. I think the dude needs to let go. Okay? That, or I don't know, go fight Robert Guerrero or something. Okay? like take it down a notch in competition. He took a lot of punishment in that fight. John Molina's best punches, and I'm not even joking, the best punches he landed was after he got hit 2-3 times. Okay? Lopez hit this dude with a 3-piece, and he come back and hit him with a hook. All right? Made it exciting, but I rarely saw the guy be first. Okay? He was using his straight as a jab. I mean, it was kind of insane to me and kind of frustrating, but I think you guys think really quick, Reggie, should Molina retire?
Yeah, or step down to that lower tier, fight the guys who are past prime, or else walk away. I think I like fighters to go into commentary when they reach this point. So I prefer seeing them in commentary rather than back in the ring.
What do you think, Storm B, man? Let them fight.
Yeah, as I said, about the Guerrero brother. It's like, but with Molina, I think it's something a little different. I think that he may be able to help fighters on the other side, meaning like from like training or something like that. He should lend that experience to younger upcoming fighters because he has a lot to pass on. He's still in decent shape as far as his faculties. So don't allow yourself, because whatever damage is there now, you don't see it right now. You'll see it 10 years from now. So it's like, get out, help some younger guys. You could still be around the sport that you love if he loves it, and he could offer something, because believe it or not, that experience is sorely needed in the sport. You could see you got a lot of outsiders coming in boxing, giving their contributions, and it's not really working. I mean, we could look at as recently as the Jared Hurd camp, and his big fight with J-Rock. You saw the mess of a corner they had. They had guys putting Vaseline in his eyeball and everything. You need quality people in your corner. And this is where guys like that could really contribute and be of good help, great help.
Yeah, I agree. We need more dudes in the that are boxers that to contribute to the sport. I agree. What do you think, Chief Funk? Retire? Yeah or nay?
Yeah, I think so, man. At this point, I personally don't see him, winning any fights that are, that will do anything to, move his career forward. I think at this point it's time to hang him up. He took a lot of clean, hard shots Saturday night. We all saw he barely made it out of the first round, man. I mean, that fight was close to being over. So I mean, I'm a safety first guy, man. I mean, this sport, it's it can be damaging, man. and we've all seen it before. So I think that if you can retire with your faculties, in your brain together, hey, let's call it a career, man. Molina was, he was very good early in his career. I always enjoyed watching him fight, but you hate to see guys take this kind of punishment, man. So I think just me, man. I think he should just hang him up, man.
And shout out to NBT Boxing in that chat and everybody else, by the way. Bear Down, AJ10, Unbiased Cowboy Fan. There's no such thing as an unbiased Cowboy fan. Okay, like I don't know about that. Okay, but I guess they're out there, right? But man, let's get to this one, man. I got to get to this one, right? Mario Barrios El Azteca, all right? He's no longer El Diablo. He doesn't have that 66.6% KO ratio anymore, but it's okay, right? You could argue got a gift decision against Batir. We were asking who he was. Now we know. Okay, Batir Akhmedov, WBA regular championship. Now, I gave him the first 4 rounds and the final round, the 12th round. Okay, and he did have 2 knockdowns. But that to me, that's 5 rounds and a knockdown and 2 knockdowns. You know what I mean? But I want to know what you guys think. Stormy B-Man, we'll start with you. What did you think of this fight? And Barrios becoming the WBA regular champion.
What a good fight, man. It was a very entertaining fight. A great clash of styles, because I think that the knockdown early happened because of carelessness on Akhmedov's behalf. I have trouble with his name, forgive me. But yeah. But once he made a determination to fight his style and to impose himself, it became a different fight. And the knockdown later happened as a result of a little bit of carelessness, similar to what happened in the main event. But what I really relished was the manner of which he went about his work to close the action, to get effective, to find his way on the inside, to do the things he needed to do at all costs and at the expense. And I was very surprised at his energy level, that he was able to still punch in volume while heavily pursuing. It's something that you don't see a lot of. You see guys kind of burn themselves out, and then they have these spurts of where they're not doing much or whatever, and it's killing a lot of time because they're recuperating. But this guy was in shape, and he was going for it. And fighters like that are always exciting. Now, as far as how the outcome, I felt like Barrios in his heart don't feel like he won that fight. And he may have taken something from Barrios there. I think that he won't be the same going forward. The damage was clearly on his face. He took a lot of shots to the head. He's going to need a long time of recovery, but that probably won't happen because he's a young guy. And for this championship, those sanctioning bodies are going to throw him in there. They may throw him in very soft, but they're going to get him back in there because that's what they do, especially with these young guys like him. But I think that Batur there's a championship in his future. It definitely, especially if he can build on this experience right here. I see that guy coming back, and I see him as a fighter whose style is very much crowd pleasing. People would like to see a fighter like him.
Yeah, he it was an action-packed fight. I'll give him that. I'll be honest, the first 3 rounds, I was wondering, who the hell is this dude? Because I wasn't impressed. Okay. And then like around round 4, he started picking up the pace. And it's kind of like it was like by design. And he just kind of picked it up, and he was like, okay, kid, now I'm here. You know what I mean? I think it caught Barrios by surprise. Barrios couldn't keep up. He couldn't be first. Good footwork. He wouldn't allow Barrios to sit on his punches. Okay, he was having such a hard time sitting on those punches, and when Barrios was trying to put on pressure, I mean, Akhmedov brought it, bro. This dude is the grandson, okay, of Ivan Drago. All right, okay, this guy brought it, man. Okay, it's the right hands. I was impressed. Okay, really good. No, the left hands. I apologize. I remember him. He would come in. He would land the straight left. Okay, and then he would every time before this he would step back. He would land a hook on the way back. And it was just constantly, every single time almost. And I remember I think it was the 12th round. I was doing live commentary for the fight, and I said, Barrios he doesn't need a home run. He needs a grand slam. Okay. And he got the knockdown to his credit, and he tried to close the show. But, man, was he swollen. And man, he may have won. And even though there's times where you can argue that he maybe won on the scorecards by the 10-point must system, but they didn't win the fight. It's just it's hard to explain, but he knows he was not the winner of that fight. Deep down he knows I'm not the champion. Okay, G-Funk, how did you see it? And what do you think is in the future for both guys? Well, you got to try to pronounce the name. You have to try.
Akhmedov. Did I say it right? Yeah, I think I kind of agree with what you just said. Kind of like winning the battle, but not the war for Barrios. He looked the worse for wear after the fight. I was thinking, early on, because I'd never seen this guy fight before, so I don't know what his style was or anything like that. If he's just a slow starter and that's just how he starts all his fights or what. But early on, it looked like it was going to be a runaway thing for Barrios. And then, I almost kind of wrote him off a little bit. I was like, okay, he's probably just going to get beat up the rest of this fight. And then he got dropped. And then I was like, oh, okay, for sure it's over. But then to his credit, man, the guy got back up and he started to put a lot of pressure and he got to him, man. And next thing you know, we were looking and the fight was close, man. So, but I definitely agree with what you said. It was one of those things where he's walking away right now, thinking, man, maybe I bit off more like a chew with this guy or something. But I wouldn't mind seeing him fight again if they can make it happen again. Right. But if not, I agree with what Stormy B, man, said. This guy has got a lot of heart and determination, man, to stick in there like that. To come back and make the fight very, very close at the end. So he could possibly be a world champion, very soon if they give him another shot. I mean, give him a shot within 7 fights,
Here's my thing about this, though, okay? He did get knocked down twice, okay? Now Barrios is, he's an okay puncher, but not a devastating puncher, right? I don't know if Akhmedov, is going to see Josh Taylor. I don't think he can see Regis Prograis. I don't think he can see Ramirez. I just don't. All right. I don't think Barrios can either, by the way. I was surprised when they announced he was going to fight for a title. I was surprised because I don't think he was ready. And this is why you don't just throw a kid like that to a title shot so soon, especially with an unknown guy like Batir Akhmedov was not unknown now. All right. Reggie, how do you see it, man? How do you see the fight? And how do you score it?
Man, I was looking for my scorecard, but what I remember is Barrios looking very good up until the knockdown. Once he got that knockdown, I'm not sure why he didn't turn on the gas, but I did hear Virgil Hunter saying that they didn't want him over pursuing that knockout. They wanted him to be kind of patient. They got time to work on it. Hindsight, I think they should have went in to try to put more damage on that dude. He's very slow in pursuing that cat after the count. And after that, dude woke up. Abegmadov, whatever his name, he woke the hell up. And he got the beating the brakes off of Barrios. Barrios couldn't figure this dude out. Barrios starts sleeping on defense, and that's what's happened. That guy was catching him with the, like you're saying, the straights, followed by hooks, and was tearing his face up. It looked like Barrios was jumped and stumped, but it was a great showing. So now get familiar with who this Ukraine, where is he from? Ukraine or Russia? Wherever he's from, the guy has arrived, and he's a serious threat to other fighters who don't.
AJ10, go and get a fact check where he's from. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. But wherever he's from, the dude is serious, and a lot of cats coming from over there are getting these quick runs at title shots because they're well schooled. They come in here, they don't play around. So it's time for these other fighters to really get on their business, because these cats out of these foreign countries who we don't know nothing about, they ain't here to play around. They here to come in, take over, and reign, especially out of Japan. Japan got some teaching that's going down over there as well. But he had a great showing, man, and hopefully Barrios learns from this, because it's only going to get tougher.
Man, like Barrios is already, I mean, I know it's the regular title. It's not the super title. Like the WBA is crazy, okay? But, man, he's food right now, in my opinion. I think it's food. Right? I don't mean the one Dan Rafael eats. I mean in boxing anyway. But in all seriousness, man, anybody have any final thoughts before we move on about this fight?
Yeah, I had something I wanted to add on that, D Styles. When we're looking at guys like Barrios and Jaime Munguia and a few other of these young prospects, even this what's this kid's name? I can't think of him right now. I'm sorry. Just say some of these young prospects that are finding their ways to titles before they really, learn how to fight. That's my point right there. I don't understand some of these trainers that are working with guys, and they put them out there, but these guys are not self-sufficient. They're not able to take care of themselves yet. Yeah, they can look good. You might have a guy that he's got a great right hand, or he's got a great left hook. He looks good. But it's like it's all style. It's not substance, and that's where you're seeing the lack of the teaching here. A veteran fighter would have been able to find his way through that fight and then end up stopping Akhmedov. And this kid didn't have enough in his toolbox to handle the situation. And then Akhmedov was able to turn it up to another level that he didn't even have. But he's supposed to be fighting for the championship. So there's another way to look at this. And you can look at it as the lack of the teaching. Like Reggie said a moment ago, hindsight being 2020, they should have gone after the guy when they had him hurt. They had no idea that he had so much in the tank and that he could take it to another level. But how about this? Why did you come to the ring and you only have one level, one gear? There's something to be said about that. So is he going to improve in one training camp before his next fight? No, but I can tell you one thing. He's been damaged enough in this fight that the rebuild process is going to be twice as hard going forward. He may get tagged a shot in his next fight that had he not had this fight, it don't do any damage to him. But because he had this fight, it could make him fall to pieces. I saw that years ago when Hector Camacho fought Edwin Rosario. Camacho was blowing through people with fervor and just vicious. And, people think of Macho as like a run around the ring kind of guy. That's who he became. But prior to the Edwin Rosario fight, Hector Camacho was a beast. And he had that confidence that I'm better than the other guy regardless. But once he got that shot on the button twice in that 15 rounder with Rosario, he was never the same after that. You know what I mean? And he was an experienced fighter with 30 fights. This kid is a younger fighter with less experience. So you don't know how it will work out. But it's a note to all of these trainers. do better work with your prospects. Get them the right opponents, the right styles, you see, and grow them. Don't just, oh, he can punch good and, you know, give him a lot of setups that he's just knocking guys out, but he's not learning a damn thing.
Great point. Great point.
And they probably saw this, apparently a Russian from Uzbekistan. Did I pronounce that right? Okay. And they said, hey, he's, 7-0. What's this guy got? You know what I mean? And they, and they probably felt good about themselves after 4 rounds. You know what I mean? What I did like, though, okay, for out of Barrios was that he dug deep. Okay. And he had enough in the 12th round to get that knockdown. But what's sad is that he didn't even, according to the scorecards, if I remember correctly, he didn't even need the knockdown, apparently, to win. Well, one of those scorecards was like 116, 111. That is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Shout out to BFTB, Best Fight the Best Boxing. Salute to the panel. Salute to D-Styles and the $2 super chat. Respect to my guy, D-StylesBoxing. He says, Barrios lost. We could say that again. A lot of people felt he lost. I saw this fight in a house full of Mexicans, bro. Okay? There was no celebrating. Everybody was like, well, you could say he won, but did he win? Like that's kind of what everybody was saying, So I'll say that, man. Terrible reffing, but that's not news in the world of boxing. You know what I mean? That's like, oh, okay. The sky's blue and water's wet. Chief Funk's a Cowboy fan, unfortunately. It's just the unfortunate things in life. By the way, for those that aren't watching, look at this. All right, look at that. See that? Andy Ruiz.
The heavyweight champ, baby.
I got the shirt. All right. People thought I was gonna buy the shirt. I was gonna buy a shirt with Andy Ruiz. I'm never gonna buy a shirt with another dude's face on it. Okay. I'm not gonna do that. Okay. But the logo, it's all good. Okay. So shout out to Andy Ruiz. I said I was gonna wear the shirt. I know it's late, but there you go. Okay, AJ10. See that, AJ10? Every show, AJ10's, where's the shirt, D-Style? Where's the shirt? D-Style, where's the shirt? Where's the shirt at? Okay, Underground Asylum in the house. You're tuning into DStyleBoxing Live Mondays through Thursdays. Tomorrow we have Ashy Knuckles, a puncher's chance. It's going to be a good show. Chief Funk, if he's available, of course. Mexican Latino Tuesday, and he just found out right now. And
I'll be there, man. Don't worry about it.
And of course, Thursday night, DStyleBoxing Conversations with Reggie Owens every Thursday. Check that out. We'll bring back the segment, the feminine asshole of the week. So I don't know who it is. So I guess we'll find out. All right. So
I have a good idea who it could be.
Well, I guess we'll find out. You know what I mean? I told you I don't want to know till the show. Okay. Okay, look at that. He's got his Bomb Squad shirt. Best Fight the Best. There you go. There we go. Anyway, Cypress Hill. That's insane. All right. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna get into Mike Alvarado's shirt, bro. Okay. But check it out, man. Check it out. David Benavidez. I'm gonna go first to you, Rich. All right. It's a feast of crows tonight. I'll get mine later, but we're gonna go start with Reggie first because Reggie said that the dog was gonna just get his claws and just get the bandera roja and just rip it all up and shit. Just tear up that red flag all up. What happened, Reggie? Well, what went wrong in this fight? What's happening? Talk to us.
Wait, let me get the scorecard on it real quick. I got Dirrell right before the cut. What was it cut in round?
Reggie, I told you got to get a Sharpie, bro. Okay, you got to get a Sharpie. It's easier to see. Okay, this segment is brought to you by Sharpie. All right, there you go. By the way, watching, make sure you throw a jab at the like button. Go ahead, Reggie.
All right, so before the cut, man, what's the name? Dirrell fought the fight that I thought he would. And remember, I was going for Dirrell in this fight. I thought he'll pull it off. He gave Benavidez great work, great challenge. We see Benavidez have to endure some things. Seen some frustration come out of Benavidez. This was kind of new grounds for him where he wasn't just purely dominating the fighter early in the round. Dirrell fought like a veteran. great tactics in this fight, sticking off that jab, great movement. He used his distance, moving around, and he also utilized that feint, which did good justice for him as far as slowing down the pursuit of Benavidez. Dirrell set up nice 1-2s. He worked in some nice hooks, as well as being able to deal with the the onslaughts that came from. He dealt with the onslaughts that came from Benavidez as well. So he fought his fight, great distance, great control, up to the first 4 rounds. Once that cut came about, things changed. He couldn't see through it. And this is when Benavidez started taking advantage, as he should have. He started targeting that eye, but along with making some mistakes along that. He was doing way too much trying to get to that eye and target it rather than setting it up and kind of building up off of that to get the knockout, because Dirrell lasted he lasted about 4 of the rounds past that, or was it 5 because they stopped in the 9th. So he lasted 4 of the rounds. They were trying to figure out ways. Dirrell showed a ton of heart in my book, because with that cut, I would have quit. I wouldn't care what backlash I would have got. The cut was nasty. It would have been over for me. This dude endured. He wanted to go out. He was not trying to let that belt go. He was going to make this young fighter work for it. And Benavidez, he turned it up because he's a dog. He has a lot of heart, and he's determined to be a champ once again. But it was just nothing Dirrell can do. Dirrell went to that southpaw position, found a little success from that, but it was just too much intensity from Benavidez. Benavidez is very sharp, very quick hands, but he has some things to work on going forward. Him and with versus Plant is going to be a real tough challenge in my book. But I'll pass it on to the next brother.
Go ahead, Stormy. I'll let you roll.
Well, I had said going into the fight that I thought that if Dirrell wouldn't allow his ego to get in the way, he had the skills to take Benavidez to school. But Benavidez being the younger, stronger guy, and he had physical attributes that were favorable, it will require Dirrell to be focused and have, not have his ego in check. And the way the fight started out, I was a little bit impressed with Dirrell having his ego in check, but he fell victim to one of the oldest tricks in the book, and that was that Benavidez, who was being scored on easily, especially with that jab to the pit of the stomach, which is something, if you've ever done any sparring, any type of being in the gym, and you get in the ring and you spar with somebody, when they hit you with that stiff jab in the pit of your stomach, if you're stepping forward and he's a come forward fighter, dude, that does something to your legs and everything. And he was what Benavidez's answer to it was not to jab with him, but he was mocking him, and he was, giving him these little looks with his face and all that, stick his tongue out and all of that. And he drew Dirrell into mocking back. He lost his discipline. He lost his focus, and that's how he got cut. He had his hands down. He stuck his face out, mocking at Benavidez, who snapped the jab out and opened the cut over his eye. If he had continued to fight the way he was fighting, he would have been in a safer position and would have continued to build points and win rounds. This could be a lesson to anybody out there listening, watching, whatever, that this is why you remain focused at all times. It is something that you don't see coming. And most people, they say, well, he got hit with a jab and opened up a cut. But what was he doing? His hands was down. He stuck his face out, and he was mocking at Benavidez, who was quick enough to shoot a shot at his face, and it ripped his face wide open. Plus, he already knows he's got scar tissue over both eyes. So what the hell, man? Now, yeah, he kept his ego in check, but he didn't keep his focus in check. And he lost his title. And he got a hell of a bad cut on his eye now. And that's the same cut that David Reed had that damaged his eye severely and basically took him out of the sport of boxing because he couldn't fight getting hit in that eye because the lid just began to droop, you know, and cause an impediment in his vision. So, Dirrell, shame on you, bro. Shame on you. It was like it didn't have to go down like that. I could see if they were exchanging and he caught the shot and in his eye, but he was at a moment of mocking and goofing around and he got cut. It's as simple as that.
I just see it, G-Funk.
Man, well,
I see Chief Funk means business now because now
Yep.
the cap is backwards. You guys notice that?
you know what time it is. I'm about to go in on this cat, man.
Okay.
I'm about to bring the
Watch out.
funk right now. All
Watch
right.
out. He went backwards with the cap, everybody. Watch out. Go ahead.
I'm like Schwarzenegger on Over the Top. You know, the hat goes backwards, man. It's over for you, you know?
Go ahead.
But anyway, I got to agree with what these
Stallone?
guys said. Yeah, Stallone. But I got to agree with these guys, man. Benavidez, you know, I expected a lot more out of you, man. I really did. You was in there goofing around, playing around. Honestly, to me, he looked a little tight. You know, he looked like he was really, really tight. Dirrell came in there to mess with him, you know, to get into his head a little bit, especially with the clinching that he was doing. And you know, I don't see that as a bad thing. You know, the way Klitschko used to do it, that was different. But to me, I think that Dirrell was coming in there and was wrapping this dude up every time he got close to him to frustrate him, to get into his head. And, you know, I think it worked, man. I really do, because Benavidez did not look like the same guy that we're used to seeing. He wasn't letting his hands go. Like Stormy B-Man said, he wasn't jabbing with Dirrell because Dirrell was able to land his jab a lot early in the fight. And if someone's going to get rough and tough with you, you got to do the same back to him, man. If he's clinching you, you don't clinch you. Hey, get him off you, bump him off you. You know, we saw that in the main event. You know, so hopefully Benavidez was watching the main event and took some damn notes, okay, on how to get physical with a guy back instead of just trying to get the referee to take points or to help you out. You know, get physical back with him. I was very disappointed in Benavidez's performance. You know, I predicted him to win. You know, the way it ended, you know, sucks that there was a cut, and that was a nasty cut. But you know, I was very disappointed. I did think it was going to be a good, rough, tough fight with Anthony Dirrell because he's the dog, man. He comes to eat every time. So Benavidez, I don't know if it was a lack of preparation or you know, just looking at his prior fights as to how he fights, but he didn't look good to me at all, man. He did not look good to me at all. And you know, I really think he's fortunate that the cut did happen because I think it might have got bad for him if the fight went on because he looked like he was falling into the game plan that Dirrell had, was to get into his head and to get him frustrated, and he definitely looked frustrated to me. But you know, unfortunately, these things happen, and this is not the first time Dirrell's had a cut. So you know, that's something that, you know, you gotta you know, I said the same thing with Tyson Fury when he had that big giant cut over his eye. You got to think about that, man, because your body is the investment when you're in this business. You know, if something is wrong or something gets damaged, you know, badly, that could be an end of a career. You know, and his eye might not ever be the same again. Same thing with Fury. So I was honestly thinking that they should just stop the fight. You know, we know Dirrell didn't want to, but you know, you gotta keep your body together, man, if you're gonna want to stick around in this game for a while, man. But you know, I give props to Dirrell. I think he went in there and frustrated the hell out of Benavidez. And Benavidez, hey, bro, step your damn game up, man. All right, I need to see you step it up in these big moments, man. And I didn't see that.
Check it out. Okay, I don't have a cap to go put backwards, but look. Okay, all right. Look. I mean, I get what you guys. Dirrell was winning the fight early. Okay. However, I gotta be honest. I did sense like the momentum of the fight was shifting, right? Like it started like this, where Dirrell, has the advantage, and I felt the momentum shifting. Okay, it happened faster because of the cut, but to me, from what I saw, from my vantage point, okay. Now, granted, I had like a shot or two of tequila and stuff, so but I wasn't drunk yet. You know what I mean? To me, Benavidez was putting on. I'm not saying he can improve and he couldn't have done better. Okay, a fighter could always have done something better, but overall, I feel like Benavidez was putting constant pressure on Dirrell. Okay, he constantly had him on his back foot, and Dirrell was throwing a lot of punches off his back foot, and they were not doing a lot of damage to Benavidez because of that. Okay, and now it was mid-range pressure, right? He wasn't like locking horns with him and stuff like that, but he was always at distance to hit him, and I think Dirrell felt that, and Dirrell was doing a lot of movement, and credit to him. I agree with Best Fight the Best. He was winning the first 4 rounds, right? I think I had him like 3 rounds to 1 or something like that, right? And one of them was like really close. You could still argue you could have won the other round, but I was feeling a shift, okay, in that fight. Every round was getting closer and closer and closer, and I honestly feel he would have won that fight anyway without the cut. Now, granted, it would have been a longer process, okay, and Dirrell would obviously have had a better shot. But I will say, man, in the end, we didn't have to worry about that because the cut happened. Which brings me to this, and G-Funk brought it up, right? Is this the same ref? I need a fact check on this. Is this the same ref that refed Apollo Creed, okay, against Ivan Drago? It's him, isn't it? It's got to be him. Because in that last round, I was like wondering, why aren't they stopping this fight? A dude from the commission got up. The dude was waving, and the ref still doesn't know what the hell is going on. This dude's cut. The doctors looked at it like 2 or 3 times. And I heard someone say, one more big shot, we're going to stop it. Benavidez landed like 10 or 11 of them. I mean, like, how many do you need? Like, does the eyeball have to fall out of the eye like, for you to stop the fight? Does the eye have to be hanging? Like, okay, we're going to stop the fight now. There is fighters that honestly, you have to save them from themselves because there is quit just isn't in them, right? Dirrell was not going to quit that fight, right? It was obvious. He wanted to keep fighting. No, but the ref, he just we were watching like, what happened to the number one job of the ref is the fighter's safety and all that other bullshit. What happened to that?
Protect the fighters, man. It's his job.
I don't want to see this ref another fight again, but I always say that. They're always reffing anyway. So, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, on that one, man, speaking of that cut, I was saying that about the doctor more than the ref, because that doctor looked at it several times. When he first looked at it, I thought the doctor was going to end it. Like I was saying, if that was me, yeah, the doctor was tripping. If it was me, because Dirrell, this is why I give Dirrell heart. That was me with that cut. I would have said, I can't fight no more. I'm done, because that cut was open nasty. But this is why I respect these warriors. But
they have to start. When you go get freshed up at the barber and they give you the mirror, like, I'm good. You know what I mean? They need to they need a mirror, bro. Like, you want to keep going? Because they got to look at themselves. Okay.
Look here, man. The way I see it,
yeah,
those doctors ringside, they should have something on those little back, whatever. If you look on the back of it,
Stormy, can
it'll say, "I'm not a doctor, but I play one in this event tonight."
but you cut off for a moment. What were you saying again? They should have a what?
They should have, like, on that little badge that says that they're official for the event,
right.
On the back of it, on the under part, it should say, "I'm not a doctor, but I play one at this event tonight."
right.
Because they're not really looking out for the guys. when you saw that cut on the, and I was explaining on my stream that the cut was on the eyelid. That skin on your eyelid is the like most delicate skin, you know. That it was like,
AJ Ten just said that that they had the over, bro. The doctor had the over in that fight.
I agree.
One more round.
Hey, I agree with him. Man. I agree with AJ 10 because it was no way that doctor. That doctor looked at that cut like 3 times. The first time, the fight should have been stopped. The real eye twitching and this fool talking about you can go back. I agree with AJ 10, man. That doctor was tripping, man.
Was it a female or was that just a girl from the commission? Who was the doctor? Because I remember. I
think it was a dude.
You're all right. Get the fuck out of here. What the fuck? Are you kidding me, dude? Like, I don't want that dude to, like, dude, if I ever get a checkup, I don't want that guy to be my doctor, bro. Let's see here. How many x-ray shows some stuff that shouldn't be there? Be all right. What do you mean? What? You'll be all right. Well, just take it day by day. We'll I'll see you next month. Like,
walk it off.
Walk it off.
Rub some dirt on it, man. You'll be all right,
Man, this is crazy, bro. Okay, the dude be doing the x-ray. Like, let's see. Well, I mean, do you feel fine? How do you feel? Like, what do you mean? What do you see, Doc? Like, I mean,
you tell me.
But how do you feel though? You feel all right? You only live once. Go. Go on a vacation or something. Get the fuck out of here, bro. All right. Anyone have any fun? Like, I want to ask this question. Okay. Plant versus Benavidez. All right. To me, is the fight at once. By the way, Sky Sports, all right, trying to pump up Billy Joe Saunders and shit, right? Oh, Billy Joe would have won this fight. Just shut up, okay? Look, the fight to me at 168 is Plant versus Benavidez. It's a makeable fight. They're both at PBC, right? If I'm not mistaken. So it's a really easy fight to make, right? What do you guys think? I'm going to start with you, G-Funk. How do you see that fight? Do you think it should make it, and who do you think wins?
I'm always with making fights, man, for sure. So I definitely want to see it. Who do I think will win it right now? Man, that's kind of a tough one, man. I mean, like I already said, man, I didn't like the way Benavidez looked Saturday night. So he's gonna have to look in the mirror, man. The next time he gets in there with somebody for real, and I don't know, man. Right now, I'm undecided on it. I'm going to have to examine both of these guys again. But I think they should definitely make the fight for sure, man. I would love to see that one. But Benavidez, man, I was very disappointed in him that Saturday night.
Yeah. What do you think, Reggie?
Woo, I like planting that one. But Benavidez is still dangerous to Plant. He's still dangerous in this fight. But the movement of Caleb Plant, I think, will cause some frustration with Benavidez, how flat he is, how tall and inflexible he is to movement. And like someone was saying, he doesn't cut the ring off. That's the other thing he didn't do well against Dirrell. He was coming in a straight line, following him. He has to have the ability to cut the ring off because Plant is real good on his feet. And Plant would dance around with him. He's going to have to work on being able to pivot. And to be able to pivot, I don't know how effective you can be being a straight up fighter. It's going to be some in Benavidez. I mean, not Benavidez, but Plant works very well to the body. He gets out of there and he disappears on you. So it's going to be some tricky work that Benavidez, he's going to have to figure out inside that gym. Back in the lab, they're going to have to watch videos, and he's going to have to change some things. But I'm favoring Caleb Plant in that one. But like I said, I'd never count another opponent out, but I got Caleb Plant winning that fight.
Man, Stormy B, man, what do you think, man? Plant versus Benavidez. What do you think?
I think it's a heck of a fight. But the X factor here that nobody is thinking about is what will Benavidez rehydrate to after making weight? Because I think that he was a cruiserweight fighting Dirrell in there. And if that be the case, Plant would be at a tremendous disadvantage as well. I don't know for the for those titles if weight clauses are part of what they do with the rehydration. I think the IBF does, right? But if I were Plant, if I'm gonna fight him, he can't weigh in a certain amount on the day of because he can't be coming in there damn near close to 200 pounds. That kid is really big, and that makes a difference in the fight. Plant could be tattooing him and peppering him and moving around, but get worn out because the guy is so much heavier than him in the later rounds. And then, you know, he's a pressure fighter. He doesn't have very good foot movement himself. So he's looking to impose himself physically on someone. So that would have to be on the table for discussion. But I think that Plant is the better fighter, should be able to box circles around him. But I would be concerned about what he rehydrates to because he's a huge kid.
Well, look, man, I like both fighters, bro. Okay. Plant, what I like about Plant is he is like that style of fighter that I like, man. Guys that have good punch placement, good situational intelligence, man. Plant's that guy when he throws that jab, okay, he surveys what you do, and that dictates where the next punch is coming, okay? It's not like programmed already where, okay, I'm going to throw a jab, cross, and then a hook, you know, and then that's what I'm going to do. No, it's literally bam, and for that moment, he surveys it, bam, okay, what's open now? Boom. Really good punch placement, and he knows at what point when to back away, when to come in. Benavidez is going to have a lot of problems with that. Okay. Benavidez does fight a little bit in patterns, right? And that's going to play into Plant is going to plant some traps on him. Okay. Okay, pun intended, right? Now, the question is he going to have the energy to do that for 12 rounds, right? So once we get, all right, around the 7/8 round, is Plant going to start slowing down? You know what I mean? Is he going to start slowing down? And if he does slow down, right, starts getting tired, that pressure, and I call it mid-range pressure, that's constant, right? That's like there, like a stalker that doesn't stop coming. Can Plant, sustain that? And like Stormy B-Man said, if he brings that weight and when he gets him against the ropes and he leans on him and, holds him and wrestles with him there in the inside and starts landing some heavy punches on the body, to me, this is a 50-50 fight because I don't know what's going to happen past that 8th round or so, right? But I do feel that Plant's going to be outboxing him until we get to that point. The question is, what happens after that, right? Anybody want to add anything to that before we get to the big one?
I want to hear the big one.
All right. So that's the show, guys. Later's all right. No, okay. So check it out. Okay. First of all right, I did say Spence was going to win. All right. So I just want to throw that out there. All right. And I think I got all my predictions right. Okay. But here's the but, right? I'm a firm believer that you can get the fighter right, but you can get the prediction wrong. Okay. So I got the fighter right, but I got the prediction wrong. Okay. The fight, Spence did do everything I thought he was going to do, by the way. All right. It just didn't have the effect on Porter I thought it would. Okay. Porter's not who I thought he was. Okay. And that's that. He's better than I thought he was, I should say. He's improved more than I thought he had. Okay. I think that's a better way to put it. Okay, maybe that Ugas fight kind of made me question him a little bit, and I think we got to start questioning how good Ugas is for 147, right? But before we get to that, I want to know your guys' thoughts. Stormy B, man, how did you see this fight? How'd you score it? And what significance do you think it had for boxing?
Well, the way I saw the fight in the aftermath was a wonderful throwback to an era when we saw champions when they came in unifications. It immediately took me back to Leonard and Hearns. These two men represented so well at the pinnacle of the sport for the titles that they held. I could not have asked for a better performance out of each guy and what they bring to the sport night in and night out when they fight. And to see them even raise that game against each other was a gratifying experience. You could tell that both of these men deserved to be where they were, as Shawn Porter being a two-time world champion and Earl Spence Jr. being a champion of recent that was avoided by other champions that didn't want to give him a shot. And now you know why, because he has a lot to bring. So as I saw this fight going in, I saw it being a very close fight. There were a number of people who have been following Earl Spence and his rise, his meteoric rise, and they were thinking in terms of him blowing out Shawn Porter. And if not blowing him out, at least getting him out of there by the later rounds, maybe rounds 8 or 9 or something like that. And some people were talking about round 10 being the magic round for something bad to happen to Porter. But I always surmise that when a man has his back against the wall and no one has any confidence or belief or faith in him, but he has a strong faith and conviction within himself, because first and foremost, he has a wonderful, tremendous relationship with his dad. Okay, let's not rule that out. He's out there fighting with his dad in his corner, his dad as his caregiver, his dad looking out over his career. And you have to respect what Kenny Porter has done, looking out for his son through his entire career. He has kept the wolves at the door as far as these promoters and these hangers-ons and the people who do bad things with fighters. And all of that speaks to what Shawn Porter brings physically in any championship fight that he's fought in, because he's always in top condition. He's always willing to go in and do what he needs to do to be competitive, if not to contest or challenge to win or attain or retain victory in a fight. And in this fight, because Spence was so highly touted, he was able to raise that to another level, or at least show that he had the resolve to compete on the level that people did not see him as prior to this fight. And that is also what made for such an interesting and entertaining match, because everyone knew that Spence was the goods, right, or whatever, but sometimes they were still dismissive of Shawn Porter. But as I was saying somewhere earlier, that you cannot be dismissive of a two-time world champion in the same weight division. He's not a two-time world champion who has won one championship at this weight, then moved up from another weight or whatever. He did it twice where the men are, that where he competes. And he has fought a virtual who's who in the division. You can't overlook these things. And it doesn't matter that you don't like the style that he brings, or the way that he looks physically, or the fact that you don't feel that he may be as technically as you would like to see, or as you perceive fighters to be. He has been successful at what he does. And he was able to put that along with anything and everything else on display in this championship fight. And Earl Spence Jr., with everything that he has done, amassed in his career up to this point, found himself in the challenge of a lifetime. And he was able to raise his game to fight. But for those of you who think he made the adjustments and he was able to fight Shawn's fight and beat Shawn at his game or whatever, no, Shawn imposed himself on Earl in this fight. And Earl was forced to fight this fight. Yes, he got the victory. However, he did not win that battle because Shawn made him fight his fight. Okay. And I would like to see them do it again because this is something that's beyond the talents that they bring. It's about the resolve and the intestinal fortitude between the men, something you don't see in today's era where everyone's running away from each other and everyone's escaping to other weight classes to avoid challenges. But see, when you stick to your guns, when you stick to where you are and you know what's familiar to you and what's home to you, you can etch yourself in stone. And these two men with this fight and the performance that they put on did exactly that. They are forever in the annals of history as two combatants who raised their stake. And as I said, as I began to speak here, they put themselves up there with the Leonards and the Hearns because of what they brought. And I just like to say salute to both men. Earl came out with the victory, but Shawn Porter is not a loser, man. He's not. He's a champion, and everybody should respect him as that. So, I mean, I could say more, but I've said enough. I like to hear what the other brothers have to say, but that's what I have to offer about this fight, man. It was a wonderful fight. I had an opportunity to see it on a movie screen, which I hadn't done in since the late 70s when my pops used to take me to closed circuit fights. So this was a great experience, and what a fight to see on that huge screen, man. It was magnificent. And I could watch this fight over and over again for the next week or so. It's that good.
Well, look at this, man. Literally locking horns. Okay, literally. You guys ever see bulls fight? Hey, these guys were locking horns, man. Okay, they were fighting on the inside, fighting on the outside. And I do agree with your assessment that this wasn't like a choice. Like, I'm just going to fight his fight and beat him at his own game. You were forced to fight his game, right? Now, credit to you. You ended up with a W, but I think it's fair to say that Porter forced him into that type of fight, all right? Now, like, sometimes you guys got to, stop the whole believe your lying eyes thing. Just believe what you see. Believe what you witness. Don't overthink it. Like just because you felt that Spence was going to win this fight easy, and it turned out it wasn't easy, you don't get to just say, nah, well, it's because Spence wanted to do that. That's why it was like that. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes, I know I say this a lot, but it really, honestly, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, the fight was what it was. That's the fight we saw. You don't get to play, fantasy. Well, if Spence did this, it would have been easy. You don't know that. How do you know that? You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. To me, it did look at times like Spence was trying to utilize his jab. And Porter slipped through some of those and was landing leather on Spence. And he forced him into a slugfest. He said, you're coming to my world, right? Freddy Krueger used to snatch those kids and take them to the nightmare and shit. That's what he did. He snatched them and he brought them to his world. He said, you're going to fight my fight. That's what you're going to fight my fight, right? Now, not every round, not every moment of the fight, but in many portions of the fight, Porter did do just that. Shawn Porter deserves a lot of credit for this performance. He did a lot better than many thought he was going to do, including myself, and it's time to give him his credit. Don't take away his credit. If you feel Spence won, you feel Spence won. But you're lying if you said you felt confident before they read those scorecards. You know your heartbeat was beating fast. You know, in the middle of that fight, towards the end, you were thinking to yourself, God damn. But what's going on? What are you doing, Spence? I can't believe this. You know you were sweating. And you know you got that big, gasp of air in the end, or in the 11th round with that knockdown. It was a beautiful knockdown. But, man, Porter got up. And he showed a lot of heart. Now, one thing I want to comment about this, I'm going to go to you guys right now, but something I want to say here. Shame. Okay? All those so-called boxing fans, right, that are complaining or finding negatives about this fight, shame on you, because you're not a boxing fan. Okay? If you see this fight, if you watch these men literally give their blood, sweat, and tears and create return customers, I don't care how many, a lot of fights sell a lot, but a lot of fights lose people for life. Like, I'm never going to watch the sport again. That's not one of these fights. That's not one of these events. People are going to come back and they're going to want to watch boxing again because of this fight. This fight inspired some kid somewhere, okay? And I guarantee you, down the line, it's going to be some prospect, and they're going to interview him and be like, well, what made you pick up boxing? We got young Olympian, whoever it is. Well, why'd you pick up boxing? Oh, man, I was sitting down with my dad and my cousin or whatever, and I was watching Porter Spence. Okay, this fight inspired people. And these were two elite welterweights going at it. But you got fans out there that want to take this as a quote-unquote opportunity to talk about how Errol Spence was exposed, right? They want to take this as an opportunity to talk about how, I knew Crawford could beat him. I know Crawford could beat him easy. Excuse me, was that Crawford in the ring with Spence? Has Crawford fought any of these two guys? Oh, that's hearsay. You don't know any of that. And so what? Even if it is true that Crawford could beat these guys. What does that have to do with anything? Why can't he just enjoy this fight for what it is? You're not a real boxing fan if you're finding negatives about this. And the first thing in your mind is to come on YouTube and talk about, oh, man, Spence was exposed. And that's the first thing you thought about like that petty shit was the first thing you thought about. That feminine ass shit, shout out to Reggie Owens, was the first thing you thought about. You're not a real boxing fan. You're not. I'm sorry. Not to me. So, I know you're clapping, G-Funk. Go ahead. Give me your thoughts, man.
Well, I want to just, before I dive into this instant classic, I want to just jump on what you said, man, about how people are now saying, well, now I know that, Crawford could beat him or whoever, I'm even hearing people saying Pacquiao is going to beat Spence now after this performance. And I'm just like, man, these guys, they just, we know what time it is, man. I'm just going to put that out there. Okay. They're even saying that, but anyway, getting into this thing, man, I predicted this fight. I looked very closely at these two guys and I could not see anything but a war, man. And that's what we got here. We got two of these guys going in there fighting over two steaks, like two lions fighting over two steaks, and those belts. And neither one of them wanted to give any break to either guy. Just a beautiful fight, man. You've seen guys sometimes boxing on the outside, using the jab, moving around. You see Porter closing the distance with those quick feet. He said I was able to get off those ropes, pivot around, spin Spence around. Spence was able to do the same thing. Both landing good body shots. Hey, I know there were some low blows, but you know what? Damn it. That's what you got to do in a fight sometimes, all right? If somebody hits you low, hit them back low. Don't wait for the referee to jump in there and try to save you. Get back at him. You know what I'm saying?
I don't mean to cut you. You know how refreshing it is just to watch two guys just fight?
Yeah.
Right? Not look at the ref. Oh, he's holding me, ref. Or oh, ref. Just fight. Okay? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All good. But beautiful, man. I thought it was a beautiful thing. And I also want to talk about what you guys brought up about how I heard Lennox Lewis say at the end of the fight that, you know, Spence didn't really utilize his jab too much. He said something like that. And then I heard Joe Goosen say, "Hey, Porter took it away."
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened in there. He forced his way into Spence and made it a brawl, man. And not that Spence can't brawl, but because he did end up winning the fight. He ended up dropping him with a beautiful little left hook on the inside. And by the way, these guys were exchanging some monster left hooks all night, just like that. And just in that knockdown, you see Porter was still able to let go of his own left hook while his eyes were rolled in the back of his head going down, you know. And that just shows how strong and how well conditioned this guy was, man. To get back and not even get up, but just take the 8 and get back out right in Spence's chest right after that. I mean, this is just a beautiful fight. And, you know, much credit to both guys. But, you know, I knew that this was Shawn Porter, man. I knew that he was tough. I knew he was durable. I knew he was not going to give anything away to Errol Spence that night. I knew he wasn't just going to lay down. For me, there was more questions on the Errol Spence side of things because this is the best guy that he's been in with at 147. You know, we've seen him fight guys at 47 that just weren't on his level. Let's just say it. I mean, besides Kell Brook, but we know Brook was dealing with the eye issue after the Triple G fight. But he went in there and got the job done. Props to Spence. But for me, there was more questions on whether Errol Spence was the guy or not. And this fight, for me, cleared it up. I do think that he is the truth. He can live up to his nickname now, or his whatever you want to call it, you know. Because I think he did deal with a lot of things that he hadn't had to deal with in his pro career yet with Shawn Porter. The way that Porter just was in his chest all night long. You know, a lot of guys can't deal with that. But so props to him, man, being the younger guy, the less experienced guy, being able to hang in there with Porter, even drop him and get the win. To me, the knockdown was what did it for Spence. The fight was so close. You won't hear a word out of me if you think Porter won this fight because there was a ton of those rounds that you just could have went either way, man. Could have went either way with them. But man, like you said, man, this is like Hearns Leonard all over again. This was a classic, man, and it's gonna go down in history as one of the best. And it was a shot of adrenaline to the sport, man, because everybody's talking about this fight, man. I got coworkers that I didn't even know watch boxing. They came up to me asking me, "Hey, did you see the fight?" I'm like, "Of course I seen the fight." You know, they were like, "Hey, that's what boxing needed right there, man. That was a good fight, and you know that was worth the money." And you damn right it was. And that's what I was trying to tell everybody, man, that this thing was going to be a war. It was going to be close. So, hey, big time love to both of these guys, man, for the show they put on that night. Excellent, man. And you know, Shawn Porter, for me, he's one of those guys that, you know, I unfortunately I think he's still going to be underappreciated even after this fight. You know, he's kind of turned it into a modern day Obakar. I don't know if you guys remember that guy, Obakar, but he was always the guy who got in there with the best guys in the division and always came up just a little bit short. You know, he lost to guys like Trinidad, Corte, De La Hoya, but he beat everybody else, you know. And Shawn Porter, you know, the fights that he lost, he was in those fights, every single one of them, including this one. And big shout out to both these guys, man. Thank you for the performance, man. I enjoyed it as a fight fan. And I'm done, man, because I go on and on about this thing. I already watched the fight like 5 times, so I'm going to let you guys go, man. I'm done.
hey, G-Funk, one thing, though. Obakar, as wonderful a fighter he was not a 2-time world champion.
Right,
Shawn
right.
Porter reigns supreme head, shoulders, knees, and feet above Obakar.
Right.
He does.
Yeah.
But Obakar was still a great little fighter. But, you know, I know what you're saying, the similarities of what the callback is, but I just want people who may not know to understand that there is a separation. Obakar fought a lot of guys with names, but he didn't become the world champion.
Yeah,
and he didn't defeat guys. Shawn Porter was mocked by Errol Spence for winning close bouts. Well, this one was pretty damn close too, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right. Good point, man. Good point. Because Obakar always did fall short to the champions, man. But he hung with them, you know, he hung with those guys. So Shout out to Obakar, man. Old school. You know what I'm saying?
Porter didn't lose all his close fights, though. He did beat Ugas, and I think Ugas is a problem for a lot of guys in 147. Okay. Like, people are just pretending Ugas doesn't exist. Like, no one talks about him when they're talking about the mix. You know what I mean? And he did beat Danny Garcia. You know what I mean? And Broner, if you want to, throw that in there as well. But look, Reggie, I know you're ready. What's up, Reggie?
Man, brilliant, magnificent, whatever words in the dictionary that defines excitement, those are the words that go with this fight. Man, it was so hard calling this fight, overexcited. This fight brought so much excitement to me that I couldn't even come down off the high that I had from watching this. Right. I couldn't fall asleep till almost 3 or 4 in the morning because I was so excited and pumped up from this fight. Then I go back to watch this fight again today. Same excitement. And that's why I bring my scorecard. And in my scorecard, I have this fight going to Shawn Porter by 1 point. I have a 113-114 fight. You got to send me one of those. A 113-114 fight. But we got 6-6. So in this one, man, it was just so much going on with this fight. And what changed the dynamics for me is the way that Shawn Porter got out in this fight. He started this fight with good movement, bouncing in and out, utilizing his jab. And the crazy thing in this fight, he was able to outwork Errol Spence on his jab. He did a lot of things to take away that jab with the movement. He made the adjustments in this fight. Errol Spence didn't make as many adjustments, or he didn't try to add the ring generalship to where he dominated and took over this fight. Shawn Porter lured Errol Spence at times by taking the steps back, luring Errol Spence into the fight, walking Errol Spence into several punches. He took opportunities where Errol Spence thought he can bully Shawn Porter, getting him against the ropes. That pivoting move to get up off the ropes, I haven't seen nothing like that in boxing. That's probably some real old school type technique. And the technique behind the move, beautiful. That shit was beautiful. And he did things that kind of confused Errol Spence. Their game plan didn't fit anything they studied about Shawn Porter. I think many people overlook, underthought what Shawn Porter can bring into the game just based on how amped up, how motivated this guy was coming into this fight. It brought many, many ripples to Shawn Porter's game. And even in this fight, there was moments where he hurt Errol Spence. He caught Errol Spence in the 4th round, cracking him over the top of the head. It wobbled Errol Spence shortly. Lucky to the conditioning, he was able to recover. But Shawn Porter was all over him. There was another moment in the fight where he gets dropped by Errol Spence. But the heart of this dude to get up when he looks over that ref's shoulder and he tells Errol Spence to come on, and he shoots right over there at Errol Spence. Why still buzz? Because he was flat-footed. He didn't have this bounce in him, but he poker faced the hell out of that moment. And what does that do to Errol Spence psychologically? At some point, this shit had Errol Spence wondering who the hell he's in the ring in here with. But Errol Spence dug deep and showed a lot of heart. But with this underestimating, buying into what a lot of the fans was thinking, it was hard for Errol Spence to figure out what adjustments, what style changes to make in his fight. And he couldn't. He had to fight this rough and drawn out fight of Shawn Porter's, this tactic that Shawn Porter wanted to bring, and it made for such a spectacular fight. It's not meant to be able to run through these top tier folks. And also the other thing that was real impressive was part of this game strategy of playing this mind game was what Shawn Porter would do with that mouthpiece. That mouthpiece was a taunt. And it was a taunt that stated man down. And he did that, showing that mouthpiece, that mouth guard every time before the round started and when he came at Errol Spence. But it was just such great tactics, man. Him being able to lure Errol Spence into kind of his traps that he was setting up and just working beautifully off that jab. And also that jab was able to snap Errol Spence's head. So it was something on that jab that Shawn Porter was shooting out there. But all in all, what a remarkable fight, man. the boxing world is woken up, and like even G-Funk was saying about he got people who don't watch boxing that were talking about it. I got people all in LA who went to the fight who I never knew even follow anything about boxing, and they were in there, and all they can speak about is how spectacular this fight was. They have nothing but rave reviews about what they watched that night, and even folks who ordered at the house who was watching it, who I didn't even think was fight fans, but it turned them into big boxing fans, and I'm pretty sure they'll be coming to me to ask a bunch of things to talk about boxing. But man, they put on a classic, man.
Look, I'm seeing a lot of the same, like, oh, he beat him at his own game. Guys, it's one game. It's a boxing fight. That's the only game. Okay, that's the only game here. That's it. All right, that's the only game that matters. I'm just saying. All right. Check out the scorecards, man. Check out the scorecards. All right. All right. You see them right there, Reggie, on the screen. Nobody can see Reggie's because Reggie doesn't use a Sharpie, bro. Look at that. Okay. I got a highlighter and everything, bro. Look at that. Okay. All right. But I gave round 1 to Spence, but it was really, really close. You could give that round to Porter. I gave round 2 to Spence, round 3 to Porter, round 4 to Porter, round 5 to Porter, but it was close. That was a close round. Okay. Round 6, I gave that round to Spence. I think. Hold on. Yes, and 7 to Spence, 8 Porter, 9 Porter, 10 Porter, 10 Spence, obviously, and then 12. I gave that round to our dude, bro. I gave that round to Spence, but it was close. Round 12 was a deciding factor to me. How'd you score the rounds, Reggie?
All right, on my replay, because my first card is about the same as my replay after I watched the fight today. Round 1, I got for Shawn Porter. Round 2 to Shawn Porter. 3 went to Earl Spence, and that's the round where Earl Spence is throwing them low blows as well. Round 4, that goes over to Shawn Porter, where Shawn Porter was getting off. That's the round where he hit Earl Spence over the top of the head and hurt him. And that's when Shawn Porter was putting out a lot of his work rate was high. He was letting off some of these heavy shots. Round 5 is when he got tired, and that's the first round where I seen Earl Spence setting everything up off his boxing. He was able to box in this round as Shawn Porter was kind of fatigued going into round 5. So round 5 was an Earl Spence round for me. Round 6 was Earl Spence. I had round 7 going to Shawn Porter. Round 10 for Shawn Porter as well. He was aggressive. He countered well with those hooks. Round 9, that was round 8. Round 9 went to Shawn Porter as well. I gave round 10, which was a close round. I edged that towards Shawn Porter. And then 11 was a 10-8 round. And round 10, I gave to Earl Spence. He just opened up earlier in the round. His activity was greater than Shawn Porter to close it out. But it still put Shawn Porter, because I had them leading with such an advanced lead. It gave the fight to Shawn Porter for me.
All right. Well, there you go, man. We're going to roll to our final thoughts, man. Final thoughts of the night. We went like 30 minutes over time, so I'm going to wrap this one up. All right. Let's start on the bottom right there with G-Funk. G-Funk, final thoughts, bro, and tell everybody where they could find you.
All right. Well, first thing I want to say is, like always, I want to thank D-Style for having me on his platform. I appreciate it. Thank you to Reggie Owens and Stormy B, man, for joining us as well. Always a great time talking boxing with you guys, man. We got to keep this thing going, man, because the sport, I think, is going to be back where it used to be, And we got a lot of fights coming up, man, to close this year, guys. I mean, I'm pumped, man. It is fight season, literally, man. But final thoughts as far as the weekend went. Had a great time. I had people over for the fight. We watched it all together. It was in here yelling and screaming at the TV, and everybody enjoyed the fight, man, because it was just unbelievable, man. Just a great fight. you know, I need a rematch. I'm gonna do like Shawn Porter, rematch. He's whispering it at Earl Spence. I need to see a rematch. Don't know if it's gonna happen, you know, immediately, but soon, man. I hope they don't let it draw out another couple years before they do it again, man. I need to see it ASAP. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But as far as where you can find me, G Funky 84 Boxing right here on YouTube. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not subscribed to Stormy B-Man, Boxing Conversation, Reggie Owens, D-Style, and throw some combinations on that like button, man.
What's up, Reggie? Tell everybody where they can find you. And
Yes, indeed.
Final thoughts.
You guys can catch me at Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens. Final thoughts, man. Salute to Earl Spence and Shawn Porter, man. You guys are some spectacular warriors. You woke the boxing world up, and you done woke this division up. There's so much going on at 147, and this should be kind of the model that sets the standard for all divisions in boxing. You go out here, you please these fans. You don't leave nothing in the ring. You leave it all up in there, and man, many fortunes come to you, and it's changed to where even Shawn Porter, who many people have spoken of not being a well-known star in the game, this one fight has changed everything for this dude. And this is the you know, how quick things turn around in boxing. Even looking at his social media, this guy done gained quite a bit on that platform, which is another way of gauging where a fighter is. But man, boxing won, man. Boxing won this night. And I'm overexcited about that, man. And I may watch that fight again tonight, but I may choose not to because I'm amped up when I watch this fight. But man, absolutely a great fight, man. And once again, it's great being on here with you guys. Once again, I love getting on here talking with you guys. Let's keep it rolling, man. But that's all I got.
Stormy B-Man, tell everybody where they could find you, and I'm definitely, there's a green light for Friday for sure. I'll be on.
All right. Everybody could find me right here on YouTube at the Stormy B-Man channel. I want to say thanks, D-Style, for having me on this platform with you and the brother G-Funk and Reggie Owens. This is really a nice slice here to commune with you brothers and talk over this sport that I love so much. First and foremost, it's my favorite sport, boxing. And to be on here with intelligent men who actually understand the sport and everything, I just feel at home at the company of brothers, you know. So it's gratifying to be a part of this. And I thank you again. My final thoughts on the fight from this weekend. You know, if I was initially going to be at home, you know, in order to fight, and I even had an invitation to be on another channel that was calling the fight or whatever. But when I found out that there was a theater place in my town playing the fight on the big screen, I got the notion. I was like, man, I haven't seen the fight on the big screen since I was a kid, you know, in closed circuit, like Leonard and Hagler. So it's like, I think I want to take that opportunity. And man, what a fight to see on a theater screen, bro. That was the most amazing experience, the entire card on a big screen. But check this out. In a movie theater auditorium where, you know, you could sit there and watch the Avengers or whatever is the popular movie, right? Only about 12 people, including myself. So we were all in there clapping, yelling at the screen, get him, what a fight. It was people whistling. It was like, dude, it was like your home team, you know, at a football game or something. And none of us knew each other because I went by myself. My wife was working. I went and I just enjoyed the fight. And it was wonderful. And you could see, because of what people were taking in with this event, that this is what stirs people about boxing. When it's competed at that high level and you have warriors, we're not talking about somebody that got beat down and they were, had to take him to the hospital after the game or after the fight or whatever. But we're talking about men who compete and contest at the highest order of the sport. And do you know, the realization is this: when champions meet like this, there's usually not a knockout. It's usually a close victor for one or the other, and something takes place like a knockdown or something that kind of gives the guy an edge. But this is the one thing I want to leave you all with. And I said it to Reggie on my last Friday night chop session before the fight. I said, how about a rematch? And dude, this fight warrants a rematch, because it's not about the titles. Not anymore. It's about who can best the other guy, because these men are about as even as you can be. They are. You could throw the titles away. Now boxing has real champions that they can market, that they can talk about. Shawn Porter doesn't need a belt. Shawn Porter just needs to keep doing what he's doing, go around and beat the rest of these guys. And the people will call him a people's champion. And Earl has to face that challenge again. So if he wants to be the champion, he has to take that from Shawn. Now, some people might not understand that, what I just said, because Spence has the titles. But like I said, when you fight like you fight and you have the resume like Shawn has and you fight the fights, remember, Earl was like, I'm going to knock your ass out. Earl was like, all your fights been close, this and that. He talked above Shawn's head. Well, Shawn brought him back down to his level, didn't he? And he let him know he a man just like he is. And he could lay leather on him just like he laid it on other people. And we love seeing it. That's all I got for you, brothers. Thanks.
I want to thank you guys here for joining me once again. Great Monday recap. We went over all the fights from the event, man. So if you guys came in late, check it out on the archive. For those listening in archive, make sure you throw a jab at that like button, by the way. Okay, subscribe to Boxing Conversations, Reggie Owens. Subscribe to Chief Funky 84. Subscribe to Stormy B-Man. All right, and this is DStyleBoxing. What do we say, guys?
Keep it boxing.
Boxing.
We're out. Peace.